Hi everyone, my name is Ann Martin. I'm one of Dr. Fernilier's students, and today I'm here to talk to you about using computer-aided software to help you with your coding, and I'm going to be focusing in on NVivo. So first I'm going to go through some of the different types of data analysis and then talk to you about how you can access NVivo through Georgia State. Then I'm going to go through a few basic examples about how to get started with analyzing with NVivo, and then end with some recommendations and some tips. So data analysis software, there's a lot of different ones to choose from in terms of qualitative data analysis. I'm going to be talking about NVivo today. That one is available through Georgia State. There's also an option called Deduce that is a web-based software option if you want to do that. And then another example like Atlas TI, but there are many, many more, and you'll often see these cited when you are reading research papers. In the methodology section, they'll talk about the different types of computer-assisted data analysis software that they use for their qualitative analysis. So here, this is an example from the NVivo website, just of some of the different analytic tools that it can help you with to help you visualize the data. And here is a screenshot from Deduce, so you can see some of the word clouds and the different organizational systems that they have. Now, the benefits of using a data analysis software to help you is that it keeps all of your data in one central place. So whether you're working with a small data set, it could just be one document, or up to maybe 5 to 10 interviews. It's great to have all of your data together and all of your analysis located in one central location. These software are also intended to help aid you in the coding process. And so I'll show you some of the different tools that NVivo has to help you code and keep you organized when you are reanalyzing and doing that secondary and late stage analysis with your codes. And it also offers a lot of tools to quickly sort and see portions of your data. So you might want to, when you're writing or analyzing, you might want to look at a specific excerpt from a data, or you might want to look at all of the data that is organized by theme. And so software such as NVivo allows you to do that. So I want to talk to you about how to access NVivo. So it is included with your library fees that you pay to Georgia State. So you've already paid for it. So I encourage you to check it out. So there is a research guide on Georgia State's library homepage. This is what it looks like. And so here there's all types of tutorials and guides, even video guides that go through how to install it, and some different quick guides and workshops about how to do it. So now I'm on this research guide page on the Georgia State Library site. So here you can see here's another video tutorial that's going through some of the capabilities of NVivo. And when you click here, GSU access at NVivo, these are the steps that you'll go through when you want to download the software. And it is available for both PCs and Macs, and they have workshops and other resources to help you when you are doing that. So I encourage you to check out this research guide on the Georgia State Library page. So once you have installed NVivo on your computer, the first step would be to create a project. Now with NVivo, you need to create a separate project for each of your research projects. So here you can see some of my projects. And then if you also want to explore and try out NVivo, they have a sample project already loaded on there for you. So you can look through that and practice a little bit before you upload your own files. Now, when you upload your own files to NVivo, you will go to, once you are installing your NVivo, that's under the data tab right here. So data, NVivo supports a variety of different types of data, PDFs, if you have full data sets, even audio or video. If you have pictures or images, all of that is supported by NVivo. So your first step when you are using NVivo to analyze is to upload your data, whether it be an interview transcript, a document, an image, whatever your data source is, you can upload it here. So you go to data, you select the document type. After that, you're able to search from your computer and upload them, pull up your document. And once it is imported, you will see your first document here. So this was an example of a newspaper article that I was analyzing, and I just uploaded the PDF, and then it was there and ready for me to analyze. So once you have analyzed or uploaded your files, you can sort your files in a variety of different ways. So you can sort your files by participant, by the place, if you're using different places, or kind of data, like if you have some interviews and some documents. So this is a screenshot from the sample project that I told you is included in all NVivos. And so as you can see, when you want to sort your files, you right click and you can make different categories. So for this one, they have a section for their interview files, a section for literature and news articles, and social media. So this will be dependent on your project, how you want to organize the files, but you can sort them there too. Now, once you have your documents in there, I have a couple different examples. So one way to use NVivo is, of course, with interview transcripts. You can upload the audio like I showed you, or even the video, and you can use that video can be embedded. If you have a video, it will be right here. And then as you code, it'll have the transcript and you can add your codes in there as well. So this is an example of documents. So here you can see I have my files and I have them sorted by, this project is about news articles. So I have the files sorted by the newspaper or the news source that it came from. So Atlanta Journal-Constitutional, the Business Chronicle, Atlanta Magazine, and so on and so forth. So here the files are sorted. Now here in the middle are the file names. And when you click on a file, you will get the large view here. So many different types of data you could analyze with this. Organizational materials, if you're doing documents, speeches, of course, interview transcripts, could be flyers, textbook pages. Dr. Fernillier and I have also used NVivo to analyze social media. So with social media, you can upload data sets from there. Tweets, that's what Dr. Fernillier and I are analyzing here. So we have screenshots of tweets and we uploaded them. So here you can see all of the files. These are all of the individual tweets that we've uploaded, and then once they're coded, you can see the display here. It can also be Instagram posts, comments from social media, TikTok. Like I mentioned, it does support video. So based on the copyright for whatever social media site you're using, you are able to upload that into NVivo to analyze. So now that you see some of the different options about the types of documents that you can upload into NVivo, I want to go to NVivo and show you how you actually analyze once you have your files uploaded. Okay, so I am in NVivo now, and this is that example that I showed you when I showed you how to upload a file. So this is a newspaper article from the Atlanta Journal-Constitutional, and I am going to be analyzing it for a project that I'm doing about discourse in the news. So for this project, so far I've only uploaded one document. So you can see under files, I just have this one document. Now, once you start analyzing using NVivo, you're going to be using codes called nodes and cases. So for me, for my project, I use cases to distinguish participants. So if it is talking about people, I create a case. Any article that mentions that person, I created a case. So a little bit about the project that I primarily use NVivo for, my dissertation. I use it to analyze newspaper articles written by the Beltline in Atlanta and the political discourse around negotiating that project. So in the articles, oftentimes they mention different political leaders that were involved in the project. So every time I came across an instance where it mentioned one of those political leaders, I coded it as a case. Now, cases could be, like I said, people, or it could be a place if you're looking at different regions or entities, or if you are working on your early stage analysis, you're going to be using codes. So let me go ahead and walk you through. So when you are analyzing your data, based on whatever your methodology is and your research question, whatever way that you are going about analyzing your data, you're probably going to have some type of initial coding process to help you get a general sense of the key ideas in the data based on whatever it is you're looking at. So I am going to go ahead and show you how you might go about doing that. So here you can do, of course, chunks of data or even just small words. So as I'm going through this headline here, I'm noticing that it is talking about the dispute, which is something that I'm focusing in, and the money here. And then also it says battle mode. So I might highlight here that I want to put in a code about what I'm seeing in this headline here. So once I see, so it says dispute with APS threatens Beltline, and it has the payout. So once you want to do that, you're going to go to the top. You can't quite see my menu bar here, but at the menu bar, okay, I'll show you here. So you will go to Analyze, and then here you have your tools to analyze. Now, right here, code NVivo. So as you know, NVivo codes are if you are coding with words just from the data. So if I was going to use that tool, I might do right here, threatens, and do code NVivo. And it will automatically create a node for me. Now your node, oh, and I misspelled it, but if you get the full thing, of course, it will be threatens instead of the typo there, but you can do it that way, or I might want to code NVivo here, battle mode, click NVivo. And once you do that, they'll automatically populate here under your nodes. So these are the different codes that you have. So one way is to code NVivo. You're likely going to be using both NVivo codes and then also different types of codes, maybe content codes. So I'll show you how to do a couple content codes here. So let's say that I'm moving on and I am going to continue on to the abstract here. So I'm reading through line by line for each one, adding in my codes. So here I'm going to, here I want to enter a code. It's going to be a content code as opposed to an NVivo code. So I'm going to come up with a short way to capture the meaning here. So here I'm noticing that it's talking about these payments for the belt line could pause the project. So since it's not going to be in NVivo, I'm going to do a new node because this is going to be my first time using this one. So here you can see untitled node. And when that comes up, you can title it. So this menu box will come up and you could say, payments stop development. Or maybe I'll say halting development. Halt development. Now here you have room to add in a description. So I encourage you to use this, and this is part of the analytic process. You can memo, what did you mean by that as you are going along? You can also color code, and then as you're doing it, you can add in those different nodes. So I'm going to continue and add in a couple more codes here for this file here. I'm going to pause the recording and then come back once I have it a little bit more analyzed to show you a couple other features. Okay, so as you can see, I have continued. I've really only gotten just a couple paragraphs in, but I have several more codes here. And of course, in your early stage analysis, you might have many, many codes, depending on the method that you're using, whether you're doing line by line, chunk by chunk, paragraph by paragraph. So normally you would continue with initial analysis throughout the whole document, probably the entire data set before moving on to your secondary and later stage analysis. But I'll go ahead and show you some of the processes that you'll go through then. So let's say that I have finished analyzing this whole set. Of course, I'd have more codes, but we'll just start with these here. So next, I'm going to be looking at the codes and seeing if there are convergences, ways that I could collapse the codes and sort of group them together. So then I'm going to click on the nodes view because I want to see them together. So here I can see my different modes, and I'm going to go ahead and go through them and see which ones go together to group them together. So one thing that I'm seeing here is quite a few of these codes have to do with money being a potential threat to the progress of the Beltline. There were a lot of ideas in here and topics about if the Beltline doesn't get these payments, then the progress will not be made. So I'm going to move these together. So I see halt development, project in trouble, kill, which, and I would have in my memo that that was in reference to kill the process, kill the progress of the project, and then threatens. And then, so I'm going to group these with project in trouble. So you can click and drag it and it will put it underneath. So now you can see I have this drop down menu. Project in trouble, another code that goes with that is halting development. I'm also going to move kill over there and threatens. Those were some of my NVivo codes that came straight from the data set. So I think that I have those together. Now, another sort of cluster of codes that I'm noticing has to do with the dispute. So I'm going to move some of those together. So I have divide. It talked in here about there was a deep divide between the different politicians who were involved. So I'm going to move divide with dispute. Another NVivo code in here was battle mode, talking about the Atlanta Public Schools was in battle mode with the city of Atlanta over this Beltline deal. So I'm going to move battle mode over there. And I think that those are the only ones. Now, the other idea that I noticed was about how the Beltline had this transformative power to address and rehabilitate the land in many of these neighborhoods. So I'm going to move rehabilitate and deteriorating with that transformative power. Okay, so as you can see, once you have your data organized by theme, you can have these drop-down menus and you can see all of the sub-codes within each of those themes. So here you can see another example of that later stage analysis in the theming step. So you're going to want to collapse or merge similar nodes. So here you can see a project that Dr. Fenilier and I are working on. So we had a lot of different codes around white fragility, white tears, white victim. And so we grouped those together under the theme of whiteness. And so I encourage you to as well reanalyze within a node. So you can, let's say that you want to look at this theme of ignorance. If you double click that, it will show you all of the different excerpts that you have coded ignorance, and you can go through and reanalyze just within that node. So you already see how to group them to create your themes. And NVivo also offers a lot of different functions to visualize the data, such as this hierarchy chart. So you can see here, I went to explore in the hierarchy chart, and it visualizes the different nodes that I have used when analyzing the data and spatially. So you can see the ones that are the most prominent in the data and the ones that have been grouped together. So that's a really helpful way when you are in those later stages of analysis and really working through your theming. So another great function of NVivo is using it during the writing phase. So you're able to view all of the quotes for a given theme. And so to do that, you are going to be here in the codes function, and you are going to select the theme that you are currently writing about. So this is back to a project about newspaper articles about the Beltline. So you can see here, I have a theme about gentrification. So here's the gentrification theme and all of the different subcodes that have been grouped with that. So when I'm writing about this, I can click on gentrification, and all of the different text excerpts that have been coded as gentrification will come up, and I can go through those when I'm choosing the quotes that I want to use in the writing phase. So thinking about how to incorporate NVivo into some of your practices, one of the tips that I have is to, when you are analyzing perhaps a piece of data that you know that you're going to use in your write-up, is to view all of the different coding strips. So NVivo calls this coding strips. So you can go here to view coding strips, and it will show you all of the different codes that go with that piece of data. You can also use the annotations tool as you are writing to annotate and also memo. So if you are in the midst of analyzing and you have a memo that you would like to write, you can do that right here in NVivo, and it will attach it to that exact document. So that way you can remember where you were when you had that thought. That's very helpful. If you are doing a project that's using documents like I was with the newspaper articles, you can also sync NVivo with EndNote, and that helps the write-up process tremendously because you have all of your same documents that you've analyzed, you have the citations ready to go. I also suggest, and this is something that I definitely have learned after the fact, is to use very descriptive file names to keep your library organized, your project library organized in NVivo. So I showed you how to upload those files, and you can create categories, but you also want to make these file names as descriptive as possible. As you can see, mine are just dates. So that makes it a little bit more tedious to go back and find a specific file. So I do recommend that you use descriptive file names to keep it organized. Now, you can also use the explore and query functions to help you for inspiration in those moments when you feel stuck in your analysis. That's normal. So this is a great way to use those to explore. So I hope this was helpful, a little bit of background information about NVivo, a brief introduction. So I encourage you to go to the Georgia State Library Research Guide to get more information about NVivo and download it and try it. You can try it with just one document. It's still really useful. If you only have one transcript or one document, I think you'll still find it really useful. So good luck in your analysis.